Over to the U.S. next, where the Supreme Court has just announced two more major rulings. The first is a painful defeat for President Joe Biden, blocking his plan to cancel $430 billion in student loan debt. This would have benefited as many as 43 million Americans. The second ruling is a defeat for gay rights in the U.S. The court's conservative majority decided that a Christian graphic artist can refuse to design wedding websites for same-sex couples. For more on these cases, let's cross to Washington, D.C. and our correspondent Ketavan Gorjestani. Ketavan, the court deciding that Biden overstepped his powers when he promised to cancel student loan debt. Tell us more about the decision and the White House's reaction.
Well, this was a 6-3 decision. The conservative justices all banding together to strike down this huge plan of Joe Biden's presidency. It was something that he had promised during the campaign. This plan was on hold while things were going through the justice system, and the Supreme Court ruling, as you said, that the federal government overstepped its authority by trying to strike out, to erase more than $430 billion possibly in student loan repayments. So this is a huge blow to Joe Biden because the court really is striking out something that he had really focused on, insisted on, promised to his electorate, especially to those young voters. And of course, the White House was quick to react. And we are expecting Joe Biden to actually be speaking possibly later today, or at least put out a statement where the White House is going to present possible moves for the future to bring more protection to student loan borrowers. So the White House has been planning for this. They were expecting this decision to come out, and they are going to try, at least in the limits of the presidential authority, to do things to protect some of these student borrowers, because you have to know that the pause that was put in during COVID for student loan repayments for about 3 years is about to come to an end. So student loan borrowers will have to start repaying their debt come this fall.
Now, Ketavan, let's switch to the second case, the one regarding the right to refuse to work with gay couples. Help me understand this ruling, if you can, because I thought that there were laws banning this kind of discrimination in the U.S.
Well, that's exactly what the Supreme Court said, is that this law in Colorado banning discrimination against people based on their sexual orientation was violating that web designers' First Amendment right to free speech. So it is something that really overturns a little bit what had been brought by the Supreme Court even very recently, in recent years, where they had ruled that, for example, someone who was making wedding cakes did not have the right to reject same-sex couples just because of their religious belief. But this was focused on the free speech. And the court says that this website designer is expressing her free speech right by making those websites, and she has the right to not serve same-sex couples because this goes against her belief. But this ruling, according to many experts, is bringing up more questions than it is answering, because while the court really ruled on a very specific case, free speech in a website designer for gay couples, the question now is, what other businesses are going to be allowed to do this, and on against who? Discriminating against biracial couples, for example, or based on someone's religion. And that is something that the court has not answered in this opinion.